everybody, Rodamon here for episode 4 of my travel survival attempt. So I just realized we kind of ended in a weird spot where we murdered a bunch of people, and they're laying around the base. Yeah, kind of a weird place to pick up, I suppose. But yeah, here we are. So I wanted to immediately address one question I've been getting more than the others in my comments, which is, why wouldn't you just get a little bit of food, like pick some berries and immediately hit the road? The primary reason I didn't go that attempt is A, it would be a little boring, and more primarily, B, it would probably end up in a wipe. That is because Manhunter packs and like Caravan Raiders don't scale all that well. So if you only have two, like if I only had Newton and Sienna, tripping or packing my way to the AI point, most Manhunter packs would probably kill them, and I'm pretty likely to run into at least one on the 30 or so day trip. Obviously, the trip would be longer because we have to make stops for every illness. We'd have to make stops for every time we needed food. So we're talking like 30 days in this game is about 2 seasons. And I think more realistically, it'd be 3 or 4 season trip, which takes a fair bit longer. Plus every injury and your caravan slows down. So needless to say, it would not be as quick as 30 days, you know, it certainly would not. And in order to make it there, I think we'd be better suited to have, you know, a capable crew of defending themselves with Devil Strand armor and with the best bows possible. And that just makes the whole episode, or the whole series, probably a bit more interesting as well. So I hope that answers your questions, or question of why, you know, why don't I just leave immediately and survive that way? So we're going to create one more bedroom so that we have a spare in case of Dimitri. Or, no, I mean, one more additionally because we just took on Dimitri. So Dimitri is going to be sort of our pseudo-grower. He'll grow what he can. He's not level 10, so he's not going to be able to grow the good stuff. He's going to be a decent hunter because he just has a shooting of 6. That's not terrible. That's like practitioner. It's not going to be the best. And he's just another able body to put arrows downrange or to haul and clean, things like that. Another thing I wanted to try to figure out is why we were not... Oh, there we go. Allow non-smellable. So that's why we were not getting the Molotovs in the spot. I forget which one of you, I'm sorry, I should remember the names and write it down, but one of you suggested that that was probably the case. That pile was for non-smellable only, and you were indeed correct. Alright, so we have a new dining room. It's dull right now, but eventually it's going to be better than our past one. We're going to set it up as a party and marriage spot. I don't really know what this room is going to become. I guess it could be a prisoner room. It does have steel doors. We'll just sort of leave it as is and probably remove the torch lamps for the time being. It could be high quality important storage because it is a little bit more secure than just the courtyard we have here. But now I'm going to speed up some time because there's no need for time to go this slow. So the last prisoner finally perished. Or not prisoner, raider I should say. They are not a prisoner. Not one I wanted to recruit, so I let him go. Now at this point, my food is... My food situation is not dire, but I definitely should think about getting some hunting going. I've got 300 pemmican, which is not that much when it's being split 5 ways. And there certainly seems to be a lot of boar around that I can hunt for. And I think what I'm going to do is even put Bourbon on hunting. She can afford to improve her skills at shooting. Wouldn't be the worst thing. Now Newton, I think what I'm going to do with him is to make sure we're going back to dustering, because I think it's going to be pretty important to get everyone dusters. I want to get his crafting skill higher, because the better he is at it, the more protection we'll have from our clothing, the more capable the weapons will be. It's moderately important. So we're getting the line of traps all set back up. We'll be hauling the weapons into the pile. So one question I've been getting a lot, I suspect it's because people aren't watching the intro video, or maybe I was unclear. I'll take the blame and say I was unclear. But they wonder if they could, wear knocked out people's stuff, or sell the weapons or whatever. So when I said don't profit from the dead, I mean nothing. Like, I will never sell a dead person's weapon or use it, or their clothing, or someone knocked out. It doesn't really matter. Anything that I don't craft myself, I will not use ever. I think is probably the safest way to put it. So with that in mind, it's important to make sure you know the origins of all the items that are, around your house. Like, for instance, Newton right now is making a duster. It would be very, very easy for that one duster to get mixed up in a bunch of dead people's gear, if I was looting corpses. Now, of course, if you don't loot corpses, that's a different thing. But it's more for weapons. When I craft a bow, the bow is likely to end up in this pile here. And I think this poor bow I actually crafted myself. But try not to get mixed up. I mean, do your best. Like I said, I think this challenge is a little easier than some of my past ones, so it won't be quite as difficult. And to make it as difficult as possible, I kind of have all these artificial challenges as a way to make it tougher. One thing I need to do is allow apparel here. That way they can move. Yeah, there we go. So it's a decent dining room. Not the best chairs. But what I can do is just plop some more chairs in there, try to increase the quality. I only need 2 more dusters until everyone has a duster. And hunting all of these wild boar, I will have a fair amount of pigskin. So for any of you non-veteran RimWorld players, you can't have, it's like the Bible, you can't have clothing of mixed fabrics, or leathers, or hides of any sort. So if you have, if it takes 60 material to make an article of clothing and you have 30 cloth and 30 leather, you won't be able to craft that piece of clothing until you have 60 of one. There is no combinations, and partly that is because clothing has a certain protective property based upon its materials. So for instance, I eventually really want to make some double strand, because double strand is slashing and piercing resistant more than most other cloths and fabrics. Very little rivals double strand in that way, which is why, I'm trying to get a decent amount of double strand out of the ground. But for that same reason, muffalo wool, for instance, is a lot more insulating than like wolf fur, or whatever you want to call it. So it looks like the growing season is now. So it says August shouldn't be the growing season. I mean, I am in midwinter. there isn't a lot of work to do. That's the one fallback or one setback of sort of a tribal survival playthrough is there isn't always something to do productively. I mean, part of the problem is, yeah, I could keep building and keep expanding, but all that serves to do is increase my colony's wealth, which makes it harder to defend, sort of artificially. You know, the more illustrious the constructions, the wealthier it becomes. And if I look at my history, you know, of course, it's only going up. And you can see this was probably the Thrumbo horn that I got, and you can tell, like, here's a raid, here's another raid. It does go up, you know, after the raids, because I profit from just their bodies, and I guess, I don't even know. But speaking of which, I can remedy some of that, which is to burn up some of my wealth. But before I do that, I need to clear it as a home zone so they're not trying to put the fire out constantly. Come on, Dimitri, get out of there. Yeah, there we go. Burning the corpses. Just in case of White Walkers. Oh, so there's a bunch of Muffalo here. Yeah, I was wondering. Normally I don't tame that many animals. I don't tend to make a animal-centric economy, but given that we need pack animals for transport, it stands to reason, you know, that we get as much out of the animals as possible, whether it's food or whether it's for carrying weight. So I do hope that... Who's on handle? Wallis. I do hope Wallis gets to taming, because it seems so far that he is not. Well, that's a bummer. It's kind of a fortunate spot for it, but that is not going to be the easiest thing for my people to deal with. I think what I'm going to do so that everyone's on a similar schedule is have somewhat of a required sleep time. I'm probably going to cut it down a little bit. And they can sort of choose what to do on their downtime. What are you? Why are you awake? 2 Newton. 2. Yeah, I think you're supposed to be sleeping there, buddy. I guess he really doesn't need to. Yeah, he really doesn't. If they super don't need to, they won't stay asleep. They'll break protocol. So it looks like a lot of them are hungry. Because I basically want all hands on deck for this psychic ship. I want to make sure that I've got as many arrows going downrange as possible at once. Because scythers and centipedes are no laughing matter. They really aren't. Especially when you have bows. So once Bourbon's up, I'll just wake her up. I don't really care. We'll get everyone on the walls. I think I'll chance it and use that as cover. Alright, here we go. Firing at the ship, take 1. So I really need to take that scyther out, but a Inferno Centipede is going to be pretty obnoxious as well. Kind of case in point. Oh, don't let the scyther go after Bourbon. Although Bourbon, I don't want to say it, it's mean, but Bourbon sort of have served their purpose, mostly. For having done all the research that we needed. Alright, Dimitri. Alright, Bourbon. Don't want Newton to get shot again, but don't have a lot of options as to manpower here. Alright, so the Scyther is down. I think what I'm going to do is pull everyone back inside and sort of ignore the fire. I'm going to try to heal some of them and hope that the centipede will actually run through my deadfalls. That's the hope. So my doctor is Bourbon. I should have self-tend enabled, I suppose. Let's get the burns tended to quick. I didn't really want you out there. Just more medical practice. That's what I say. Alright, so Bourbon is almost done patching herself up. Come on, get out of there. Are you done? Yes. Now tend to Newton. Major break risk of Wallis. Let's have you rest. Dimitri, more burns. Everyone's just burned. Alright, Newton could be on his feet. Alright, Bourbon. Time to tend. Good hits. I need to do a lot more damage for it to matter, though. I actually like that spot. It's going to be harder for it to hit me. Inferno cannons are annoying, given the fact that they set everything on fire, but they're not quite as immediately lethal as a Scyther's weapon can be. Alright, so who's healed here? Wallis got healed. Bourbon, more tending. Wallis will take care of the flames. And they're incapacitated. That is perfect. So, for now, I'm going to get Sienna to break the ship. Get rid of some of this major break risk stuff. While everyone else puts fires out once Bourbon's done tending to Dimitri. So I seem to have lost just one wall. Granted, if I replaced it with stone, it wouldn't burn quite as easy, but whatever. I made it out of steel, so is what it is. Oh, now it rains. That's cute. Right as I'm done. Typical, typical, typical. Hey, Dimitri, let's help out. Wow, you are not a good shot. I would say a ship is about the same as a broadside of a barn, and he was missing like crazy. Wallis and Bourbon. Oh, that's kind of why I recruited Wallis. So Wallis and Bourbon are now together. I have 2 extra beds. And Sienna and Newton are still going strong. That leaves Dimitri, the odd man, out. think another thing I have to do is expand my my roof area. I'm getting a lot of stuff. Oh, some hungry alpha beavers. That's not something I want ravaging my limited forest. The toxic fallout really did a number on all the trees around. Oh, bourbon has an infection. All right, if I want bourbon not to, yeah, let's tend to bourbon now. I know I don't need medicine, but it does speed it up, and I want all people on their feet. I've been told that time and time again. Oh, you don't need medicine for that. But it's like, I don't care. I have medicine. Might as well use it. So another thing is, you know, I won't be disassembling the Scyther for Scyther blades. I just will shut them off. I could just shoot them dead, honestly. That wouldn't be the worst thing to do. Alright, let's have you do that. Might as well. Sienna is the burning passion in shooting. She's gotten pretty good at it. Can't lie. Well, not great, but decent. We're working on it. It's a work in progress. And I'm just going to leave the centipedes out there. I don't care for them. It's not like I need their... I mean, what do I do with their bodies? Nothing, really. I can make trophies out of them, but that's about it. Oh, come on, Newton. Join in the fun. Don't shut them off. I get better shooting. It's really good target practice, I suppose. Sienna's getting a little fatigued. Go. Down goes the giant. Alright. So, the immunity is obviously greatly outpacing the infection as long as you get some bed rest. That's what we like to see. So we finished a duster. Samantha Von Minister. If I recall correctly, ministers aren't that capable, so I'm going to ignore the call. I could be wrong about that. I do, if you usually don't take refugees because you're not sure what kind of stats they have, etc., there's a refugee stats mod that could be for you. I tend to be wary of refugees for that same reason. But if you kind of have a working memory of what all of the like professions are, you can kind of figure out, you know, like if they're a biomedical researcher on the run, they're probably good at medicine, you know, or research, that kind of idea. What killed the alpha beaver? Timberwolf. Thank you, Wolf. Doing God's work. Malnutrition. I don't even know what is killing these alpha beavers. Yikes. It's one thing if the wolf takes them down, but if they're malnutrition, I guess there aren't a lot of food. There's not a lot of food out there. And the few that are out there are eating all my trees. Oh, nice shot. I guess there's no trees in this area as a result. Thanks, beavers. Leave it to beavers. I guess beavers prevent forest fires. Hey! Smokey the Bear was wrong. Beavers prevent forest fires too. One tree at a time. Alright, so we're 2/3 of the way through winter. Things are growing, believe it or not. Just because I guess it's a warmer winter. Sometimes when it says what your growing season is on paper and what your growing season is in reality, there is a bit different. The maps definitely can be warmer than when they'll say the growing season will be. So for instance, if I look, growing season should be between 1st of September, which is the 1st of fall, or spring rather. Oh man, this quadrupes always confuse me. But we're 5 days before the 1st of September, and we're already growing. Now, I don't want to assume your hemisphere, but since most of you probably live in China, Europe, US, Canada, you're used to, you know, October being the fall and not the spring. So it gets, I'm slightly below the, why are you just standing there? That's just creepy. I'm slightly below the equator on this map, and as you can see it as a result. So Dimitri needs to get out of tribal wear. So after that duster, I'll make another set of pants and shirt. And then I'm going to look to see who's got stuff that is really getting worn down. So we could use another shirt after that as well. So 2 shirts. And a set of pants, a pair of pants. Another pair of pants, I guess. And we can just keep hunting for leathers if we need to. Now, what is going on with my construction tasks? Oh, Sienna's so busy hunting, she's not constructing. Wild Boar Revenge. Alright, who's in the area? Bourbon. You get out there, Wallis. You get out there. Dimitri, just run. Nothing like a little javelina chasing you down, right? Alright, so they're gonna make a stand here while Wallis tries to stab it. Pretty effective, I'd say. I mean, you don't want to reserved by Bourbon. Oh, Bourbon's hunting it. You don't want to run your risk of getting impaled or lose a limb or something terrible, so I take no chances. Alright, Sienna. Yeah, there we go. Finally building the roof. Oh, this is a different stockpile zone. That explains why there was Molotovs there. I was wondering about that. It's like perfectly the same color. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm blind. But it certainly looked like the same color. Slightly impressive. It's getting there. I wonder if we have any artists. Resident artists. Oh, a poor chair. Time to get rid of that. Now it's funny, in this game, a poor chair still adds to value, right? But in the real world, if you have like a bunch of nice chairs and then something that's like hideously ugly, it doesn't help the room, right? Like, it just gets uglier, you know? I wouldn't want like a dining room with like 6 fine chairs and then like some hideous twisted piece of metal in the corner. Like that doesn't sound correct to me. But for whatever reason, Sienna just keeps pumping out the uglies. Ugly chair after ugly chair. Is she high or something? Got a really high construction rate. I mean, she's a master. Where's all these masterwork chairs? Ah, there we go. Good. Alright, so I was asking about art. So 4, 2... Yeah, we don't really have any artists. And certainly no one with a passion for art. Bourbon might become our artist. Only because there's a limited amount of stuff for her to cook. So on her downtime, she could sculpt, I guess. So let's have her make a grand sculpture when she's awake. It's bedtime. Or bedding time. Depends on who you're with. Alright, so looking at their work priorities, I don't really have a relevant warden here. But Wallis here should be training. I think it's the fact that we have a lack of vegetables. There's no vegetables to train the Muffalo with, so he's just not training the Muffalo. Because it's not like you can pick grass as hay or something. So we just don't have a food source to train them in. Which is fine. I mean, I suppose I'll just have to wait. Oh, come on. Why are you vomiting everywhere? You haven't even eaten today. So Bourbon's gonna make a steel sculpture. Probably a hideous one, and I'll just break it down. Try again. Newton here is cranking out the clothing. Apparently no one wants a pair of poor pants. Poor pig skin pants. Oh, and there's a shoddy shirt being deteriorated. I'm pretty sure I crafted that myself. Because I haven't been looting bodies. And back to making that duster. He's a handy guy. Oh, it's a good one too. Sienna Prophets. Alright, some people, I think what they're doing is they're keeping their synth thread pants on because they're not worn out yet, but eventually they will be. Looking at my fabrics, I have some beaver skin. How much does it take to make a duster? 80. I can queue up another duster that I'll make out of beaver skin. I almost have enough Thrumbo fur, but not quite, which is unfortunate. I'm 3 shy of having enough, because that'd be a pretty good duster. Pretty capable duster for sure. And all's well in insert colony name here. I don't even know what I call this thing. That's funny. I mean, I do plan on eventually being nomadic, but I think it'd have a name. So it looks like things really are not growing at all due to the cold. It's fine to have it sown, because when it warms up, it will grow a little bit, but you know, its grow rate has been pretty slow. I clicked on one yesterday, 2 days ago, and it was like 11%. It still is. Getting the plants in the ground this early in the season, though, will allow it to grow pretty efficiently once the temperature allows for it. Because we're almost into spring here. 2 more days. So I still have some break risks. What I could have is a rec room. Now this would be a really small room for a rec room. I could bump it out or swap it with this room or something. You know what? This could be a hospital. That's what we'll do. We'll have that be the hospital. So let's torch lamp it. And then this can be the recreational room. I don't know if I'm fairly certain chess and billiards aren't Neolithic and they're not the right age. But well, chess is a pretty old game. It's definitely medieval, pre-medieval, right? Maybe, I don't know. I should look it up before I run my mouth. How old is chess? Let's look it up. Chess. Let's see. Well, I'll let the clock run out. So original chess is somewhere around 6th century AD. Yeah, that's well before medieval. So we'll get a chess table in there and horseshoe pins. That'll be enough joy, I guess. Make it the party spot. Alright, so it's a slightly impressive rec room, slightly impressive dining room. Aren't we slightly impressive? Wow, those... And another... Oh, a superior duster. And this excellent one is being thrown by the wayside. We'll see if anyone picks it up. I don't really care. Whoa, they finished this quickly. I'm gonna deconstruct that. Jesus, Bourbon. How did you work? Maybe that's an Alpha 17 thing. I don't remember grand sculptures being able to be manufactured that quickly, or maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. Oh, well they are hard worker. So that speed things up a little bit. I don't know. End of the day, I have to say, I don't know. I don't know why that grand sculpture got done so quick. Oops, I did not mean to hit world. I apologize. We'll be stuck loading the world for a moment. I meant to hit history. So, wow, we are just about on the equator here. I guess we're technically slightly south. Oh. No, that's weird. Oh, we're way more south than I thought. Oh, yeah. I guess I was zoomed in. My point of reference was wrong. Because here's the equator, more or less, right here. It's, yeah, the equator runs between these two zones. So that zone's the equator. Here's where we are. Yeah, we're like pretty far south. Much further south than I thought. Which is, I guess, why we have seasons. But at this point, Devil Strand's only growing at 10%, or 10% grown, but the rice plants are actually coming along pretty good. So soon we'll be making pemmican again. We've been living off of the meals that we make from just meat and milk and whatnot. You know, maybe not the most balanced of diets. Oddly enough, it looks like there are still some raspberry or berry plants that survived that toxic fallout, but not a whole lot of them. They really cleared out a lot. They're Megatherium. They're not Megasloths. I'll never call them Megasloths. We'll queue up some hunting of the Ibex. Why not? I guess, how skilled are you at handling? You're a pretty good handler. I could even have you try to tame a wolf or two. That wouldn't be the worst thing. Loyal creatures. Well, dogs are. Maybe not wolves so much. The Corpse Cavern. Slate Fields, Veg, Pem. I love my abbreviations, so you don't have to watch me type. Let's call this crafting. And this, I think, is stockpile. Yeah. Name your zones. Well, you really don't need to. There's no purpose to it whatsoever. I just do it every now and then. Well, guys, we are 40 minutes into the hour-long episode, and I can't say much has happened. We did have a psychic ship, I guess, but that's about it so far. You know, we might get some more action here soon, but I guess we did turn down a refugee. Not that that's action, it's the lack thereof. It's me deciding, refugees, no thanks. What I could do is set up a defense system kind of like the one I did in my Echo Wolf tribe. It'd be a little harder to set up given the fact that we have a river here, and that kind of prevents that kind of system. But what I did was I basically created walls, you know, outside of my base and had deadfall traps around them. So even people approaching my base would trigger deadfall traps well in advance. It wouldn't be the worst use of my steel. I don't know how necessary it would be, but like I said, it is a little tricky to set up due to this river. But yeah, I could manage. I could do it. You know, like run a wall like this. Yeah, the hell with it. I'll do it. Mostly out of boredom, because I have lots of raw resources and manpower and not a whole lot to do with it. So here will be... Oh, Megasloth's Revenge for Taming. Uh-oh. They're all coming after him. He's gonna need some help. Shouldn't have tamed... Oh, okay. Wallis was torn to death. Yikes. 2 scratches from the torso. Well, that changes things considerably. Hey, Dimitri, maybe we have a chance with bourbon. That also means that our animal handler, I guess Dimitri could do it too. But if Santa's certainly going to level up faster from it. But that also means, sadly, we need to bury someone for the first time. I don't love having to do that, but we do have this nice little weird zone here, so I guess that can be our pseudo crypt. Alright, so these Megatherium are probably still coming for me. I guess if I didn't have... Yeah, they're coming. Alright, slow time down a little. Alright, buddies. Headbutt my walls all you want. I suppose if you've ever seen a sloth's claw, you could understand why they could claw someone in half pretty quickly. Their claws, They're mostly for clinging, but who knows about Megatherium. They look somewhat vicious. Alright. Enjoy. Let's go ahead and try to rescue one. I want a safe temperature, huh? Animal spots. It's kind of a crap spot, but you know, whatever. Probably gonna want to grow some. You know what? This Megatherium's gonna be blind. That's a little odd. All right. So what I'll do here is queue up some slate blocks. Newton should get going on that, so I can make this sarcophagi. Interesting. I don't think I've had an entirely. Uh-oh. That's bad news, bears. Well, we have the deadfall traps. Sight none. I wonder what happens. I'm sure I've had it happen before and I didn't really realize it, but... Well, one muffalo down. Two down. Most of my deadfall traps have been triggered. So Bourbon's probably a little devastated. Yeah, she's not so happy about that death. Her lover Wallis has died. Ooh, that... Aw, you cheeky little bastard. Oh, okay. Friendlies came in. I think they're melee only. I was thinking, oh no, there's some ranged. Well, that was fast. Jaw, yeah, that one's not worth taming. Psychic Soothe for females, well, that'll help Bourbon. Alright, so at this point, we need to stop making simple meals and start making pemmican. So we now have the requisite vegetables that we were lacking for so very long. So let's start hauling these vegetables in to position. Thank you, Dimitri. We have enough slate for our first sarcophagi. I think Sienna should be crafting that shortly. Let's get that going. A little respect for the dead, right? We can maybe not even reuse his sword. Wallis is a pretty fitting name for someone that uses a sword, a long sword. All right, so it's a good. All right, Bourbon. Where did his body go? Oh, you refused to bury him, so you won't haul. I wonder how many times this Megatherium or Megasloth wanders into walls. Wasted Wallis. Let's see, the engraving, solitary on erotic and romantic elements of being slashed to death by a giant sloth. So it is not, okay, perfect, back to work. It's not quite cool enough to keep the animals from spoiling, so it is important to get butchering quick. What else is going on in this episode? So we lost Wallis. Yeah, it's a bummer. Not something I expected. I mean, I should probably account for it. It's always a possibility that you lose someone in that way, but you know, it did surprise me that second swipe and he was dead. Such is the life of a survivor living on the rim. Tribal or not, those things happen quick and unexpectedly. Alright, let's try to tame some buffalo. They're eating a rice. And this Megatherium now, I think, just has to be hunted. Sienna doesn't have the skill to tame it, so blind Mega Sloth is being put to death. Whoa, you're gonna hit Newton. Jesus. Wow. You just don't want to die. Should cut off your leg. That was one hardy Mega Sloth. I'm impressed. Alright, so what I'll do here is prepare for some deadfall traps. Something like, well, I put the door there, that's fine. I'll put a door up here, just in case too. So this is now a tomb. Alright. Getting all those animals butchered. With all this Mega Sloth leather and the like. Alright, we definitely have enough slate. We've been cranking through it for a while. We got blocks for days. You know, Robert doesn't seem that much like a female name. I was looking at that Robert. I know a lot of male Roberts. I don't know any female ones. Alright, so Sienna's cranking on that wall. Great Wall of Sienna. Going through a considerable amount of the steel, but what do we use steel for anyway? Making a long sword here or there? I mean, really don't use it that much. It's not that big of a deal to waste it. Newton's busy making new steel anyway. He's got nothing better to do. Crops are sown. What is Dimitri working on? He's hauling. Hauling the meat around. Yep. We're gonna have a lot of spoiled meat here soon. Boy, do we have a surplus of pemmican now. And what I'll do here, just to speed it up a little bit, because really soon here there won't be a stockpile close to make it, We'll just say drop on floor. Bourbon's not going to have to worry about putting it where it belongs. That will be Dimitri's task. Another thing I can do is make sure Dimitri is periodically tidying up, because although being around like corpses is not wonderful, it's even more hideous when there's blood and guts everywhere. So alas, we need another source of wood. We need to do some chopping. Getting that done now. Oh, and Bourbon finished some art. Awful, awful art. Wow, negative beauty art. That would be a big no thank you. So the Psychic Soothe is ending. Bourbon's mood should be dropping. I think insulted by Dimitri. Why would you do that, Dimitri? It's the only other female in the tribe that's single. What's the age differences? 36 and 26? Doable. Little creepy by my measure, but doable. 10-year difference? That's not that bad. It's not that bad after all. Alright, I'm a little shy of a full hour. A lot of my other episodes have been going over. I think this one is going to go under. So we lay Wallis to rest. We lay some centipedes and scythers to rest, which was surprising. I didn't even need to use my deadfall traps for. And I'll have to be more careful taming Megatherium. So I'm gonna catch you all later in next episode, if you so choose to tune in. I hope to start to hear some stories about your successes or failures of this challenge. I think it's, if you wanted to power game rush it, it'd be possible. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios, everyone, and have a good one.